Hey Cotton Balls, I'm Nightrail, and welcome to Nightrail Podfic. Today we will be reading Chapter 3 of The Ghost of the Gotham Opera House by J_J19, Uncontrollably Alt on AO3. Let's get into it. Chapter 3. Peter. Peter wakes to sore shoulders, surrounded by an unfamiliar scent. He stays still the way Natasha always told him to when he wakes up in an unfamiliar situation, keeping his breathing steady so as not to give away that he's awake. It takes a moment for his brain to catch up, to remember the events of the day before. Aunt May's death, the fight with Green Goblin, Dr. Strange sending him to another universe, the supposed crime lord finding him in the middle of the night. Remembering his run-in with the Red Hood the night before causes him to realize that the unfamiliar scent is coming from the jacket that Peter has slept in. He listens for a moment and hears the heartbeat of the other man not too far away. "You didn't wake me up," Peter says as he pushes himself to sit up and rolls his shoulders to get rid of the stiffness. Red Hood sits in the same spot he had the night before, his legs stretched out in front of him and his arms crossed. His helmet is still off, resting on the ground beside him, but he never removed the domino mask on his face. "You looked like you needed the sleep more than I did," Red Hood says as he gets to his feet. Peter gets the feeling that it might have more to do with him not trusting Peter. He gets up off the ground now and stretches his arms above his head, before leaning down to scoop his helmet off the ground. "Get dressed so we can go find some breakfast." "Really?" Peter asks as he scrambles to his feet. "Even crime lords need to eat." Red Hood rolls his eyes and he sticks the helmet back on his head. Peter takes off the borrowed leather jacket and holds it out to the vigilante. He can say that he's a crime lord all he wants, but Peter's never met a crime lord who would willingly sit guard over a lonely teenager all night. Now that there's light coming into the building from the holes in the ceiling, he can get a better look at him. His outfit isn't really something Peter would consider a hero suit, like what he's used to in his world. It's much more tactical, maybe Kevlar with actual body armor built into it. There's a red bat symbol across his chest, though. He kind of reminds Peter a bit of Daredevil, though the numerous guns strapped to his body are much more Deadpool. "I don't have much money," Peter says as he takes his duffel bag down from the wall and unzips it, being careful to push his spider suit deep down before Red Hood can catch a glimpse of it. If this guy is trying to be some sort of crime lord, then he probably wouldn't appreciate a vigilante living in his territory. "Crime lord, remember?" Hood says, his voice coming out sounding mechanical through the voice modulator in his helmet. Even though the nanobots are dampening his hearing, it grates annoyingly on Peter's senses. "I've got plenty of money." "Did you steal the money?" Peter pulls some new clothes out of his duffel bag and stands up straight to look at the other man. "Only from people who deserve to be stolen from." "Like Robin Hood," Peter grins. Even through the mask, he's pretty sure he can feel the glare Red Hood levels on him. "You're a little shit," Hood curses. Peter tries to put on his most innocent face, but he struggles against the smile pulling at his lips. "Get changed already?" A little privacy, please?" "Jesus Christ," Jason huffs out an annoyed breath, and then jumps over the balcony and down to the ground level. Peter leans over and makes sure he landed okay, then moves away from the edge to change his clothes. "Is now a good time, Peter?" Karen's voice asks softly in his ear. "Yeah, go ahead." He pulls on his jeans, stumbling a bit when his foot gets stuck in the leg. "I have fully finished my download of the information of this world, including all of their superheroes. Shall I give you the full rundown now?" "Let's save that for when I have more alone time. Can you tell me about Gotham?" He pulls on a long-sleeve shirt. Gotham City is located in New Jersey. It is well known for its rampant corruption and crime. It appears that there are vigilantes that operate in this city, led by a hero known as Batman. They consist of Batman's sidekick Robin and the vigilante known as Nightwing, who mostly operates in Bloodhaven, Gotham's sister city. There is speculation online that Nightwing was once the original Robin, but there is no definite proof of this. The first Robin? How many sidekicks has this guy gone through? Peter pulls his hoodie back on over his shirt and then pulls a pair of sneakers out and slips them onto his feet. The Batman seems to be very good about keeping concrete details from getting out, though online communities speculate that there have been 3 boy Robins, and recently there have been sightings of a female Robin. There was for a period of time a Batgirl, but she appears to no longer be active. Geez, if he's currently on his 3rd Robin and the first is now Nightwing, then what happened to the second? He attempts to tame the curls on his head, but Peter is pretty sure it'll be futile until he can find a way to wash it thoroughly. There's sweat and blood and probably debris from the fight and dust from spending the night on the ground. There is no information on the disappearance of the second Robin, Karen says. That causes Peter to pause. It's a risk every hero takes when they put on their mask, something they face again and again. Peter had been young when he became Spider-Man, far too young, but if he had the chance to go back and stop his younger self, he isn't sure that he would do it. Because, yeah, maybe he was too young to be facing all that stuff alone, and maybe in a few years all of the trauma of the things he was seeing will come back to haunt him, but he saves lives. He made the world a better place. He made a difference. And if that had cost him his life, he would have at least felt like it was worth it. To at least make one person's life better. Peter had mostly been alone in the beginning. He'd been alone until Stark found him and gave him the new suit and helped him to be better. They didn't get off to the best start, but Tony realized his mistake after the plane crash. He'd realized that Peter was young and untrained, and that nothing was going to discourage him from being Spider-Man. Was that what it had been like for Batman? Had he seen a kid determined to make a difference and taken him under his wing to help him do it safely? Peter's death on Titan had been hard enough on Tony that he'd invented time travel just to bring Peter back. What would this Batman do to bring his Robin back? "Would you hurry the hell up?" Red Hood yells from below. Peter startles, realizing that he'd gotten caught up in his thoughts. He zips up his duffel bag and tosses it over the balcony, then barely even thinks about it before jumping over the railing like Red Hood had before. He lands easily on the ground below and stands up straight before turning to face the Red Hood. Neither of them moves for a moment. "Ready?" Peter asks. "I fucking hate this city," Red Hood grumbles, throwing Peter's bag at him before turning around and walking through the building. Peter grins a bit and follows after him. "You did it first," he accuses. "I'm the last person you should be using as an example." "Why?" "Crime lord, remember?" Right, vigilante." "Crime lord," Red Hood says firmly before climbing out through one of the windows. Peter peeks his head out and sees that the window leads into what looks like an alley. There are broken boards on the ground that Peter is pretty sure had probably been covering the window. It must be how Red Hood had gotten into the building the night before. "Hey, how old are you?" Peter asks as he climbs out, being careful of the broken glass. "Older than you," Red Hood replies. "But like, how much older? Does it matter?" Hood heads for the street. "Yes, obviously." Peter keeps up with him, eyes darting around now that it's light out. It's not completely bright though. There's still a bit of grey cloud covering the whole sky that gives everything a muted look, but it's better than it was the night before when Peter had swung through the city in a panic. He glances to his side to get his first proper look at his new companion. The not vigilante is tall. Peter doesn't think he's that short, but Red Hood is basically a giant. Not to mention he's built like a brick house. Peter's pretty sure that if he wasn't enhanced, there's no way he could take him in a fight. "I'm 19, he says. "Legally, I suppose." "Huh?" "I was also temporarily dead for a time." "Oh, really? Hey, we could be zombie bros." Peter grins. He knows that he probably should be a little more affected by this, by being in another world where he doesn't exist and no one he knows is around to help him, but he doesn't have it in him to explore those feelings yet, to let himself be sad. His spider sense is still at a low buzz of danger, urging him to keep on the move, keep his head on a swivel, get somewhere high and dark and safe, but Peter cannot do that if he wants to get settled in this new world. He feels a little better with Red Hood by his side. Despite the man's insistence on being a villain, he's clearly a big softy. He's not the first person to pretend to be immune to Peter's charms. There is a definite don't fuck with me vibe about the guy though, and whether it's that or the helmet he wears, everyone on the streets gives them both a wide berth. "We're definitely not bros," Hood says. Peter bumps his shoulder against the taller man's arm and realizes when the man stumbles a bit that he probably used too much strength. "Oops," Peter says sheepishly. "What the fuck?" Hood says as he rubs his arm. "So, guess the whole crime lord thing doesn't come with strength." "It does when I know I need it. Wasn't expecting to get tossed around by Twig." Red Hood stops walking and turns his head to look at Peter fully. "Sorry?" Peter mumbles, scuffing his shoe against the ground. He's usually better at controlling his strength, but after watching Red Hood jump off the balcony, he'd assumed he was at least a bit enhanced. "Are you meta?" Hood asks, lowering his voice a bit. Peter frowns and considers how to answer. There's been a lot of back and forth in his world about mutants, and most of it has been negative. Peter wasn't technically a mutant, since his powers came from the spider bite and not from the X gene. Peter, my research shows that meta is the term used in this world for the enhanced individuals of this world. However, it does appear to be well known that Batman has enforced a no metas rule in Gotham, Karen replies. Is Batman going to throw me out of the city if I am? Peter asks. Red Hood curses under his breath, but his modulator doesn't quite catch it, so it comes out garbled. Peter scrunches up his face at the sound. Okay, first food, then we're going to talk about what you've got going on. Red Hood sighs and throws his arm around Peter's shoulders, pulling him along to where a food truck sits on the side of the road. Peter can already smell bacon, and his mouth practically waters. He hurries up a little more to get into the line. "Oh, breakfast burritos!" He cheers when he sees the menu. Hood stands beside him and rests an elbow on Peter's shoulder. It would be a little annoying, but Peter's pretty sure that it's just an attempt to keep Peter close and protected. His spider sense seems to agree, so Peter allows it. He rolls his eyes when he feels Red Hood lean more of his weight on him, testing, probably. "Do you have white boy taste buds?" he asks. Peter resists the urge to flip him off. "I can eat spicy things," Peter insists. "Thank God," Red Hood says before stepping up to the window and ordering 6 burritos and a couple of bottles of water. "Coffee?" he asks, tilting his head back to look at Peter. "Oh, no thank you. Me and caffeine don't do well together," he admits. "1 coffee then, black," Red Hood says. Peter hears the sound of breaking glass somewhere in the distance and turns his head to look in that direction. He's itching to help. It would take nothing at all to throw on his suit and go help them, but it would be pretty obvious that he was a meta if he had started swinging around and using his strength. He doesn't need Batman chasing him down. Not yet, at least. "Kid?" Red Hood calls to get his attention. Peter pulls his gaze away from what he can hear as a robbery and looks back at the man in front of him. "I'm only 2 years younger than you, which means I'm an adult and you aren't." Red Hood leads him away from the food truck to where a mostly intact bench sits by a bus stop. It's covered in graffiti and it only groans a bit when Red Hood drops down onto it. Peter sits beside him and pulls his legs up, crossing them. Red Hood drops the bag of food on his lap and then takes a sip of his coffee. "It still doesn't mean you can call me a kid." Peter opens the bag and takes one of the burritos and a bottle of water for himself. He sets the bag on the bench between them, then opens his burrito and takes a large bite out of it. "Oh my God, that's good." "Absolutely the best breakfast burritos in town," Red Hood agrees. He takes his helmet off, then grabs his burrito out and starts eating. "Are we going to talk about my abilities now? Are they going to get you in trouble?" "I mean, they have a tendency to do that." He shrugs one shoulder and finishes off the burrito. As he crumples up the wrapper, Red Hood hands him another. "Batman's no meta thing is more about the other capes," he admits. "The heroes outside of Gotham don't understand how Gotham works, so whenever they come in to help, things can get a little messy." "So, Batman is not meta?" "Nah, he's just a psychopath with a utility belt," Red Hood scoffs. "Huh, that's kinda cool." Peter's second burrito is barely gone before a third one is placed in his hands. "It's definitely not cool." There's anger in Red Hood's voice when he speaks about Batman, and Peter wonders if their beef is just about Red Hood's criminal history or something deeper. Peter tends to get a little too personal with his own villain, so he gets it. "So he won't care that I'm living in Gotham with powers?" "No, as long as you aren't using them to make a scene," Hood shrugs. Peter finishes off his third burrito and considers it. His plan had been to get settled out here and then start out with Spider-Man once again. But will he be stepping on Batman's toes if he does that? He needs to do more research before he makes his decision. "So, how did you really end up in Gotham?" Red Hood asks as he holds out another burrito. Peter eyes the bag between them. There had been 6, and the only one left was the one in Red Hood's hand. "I already had 3, Peter points out. "Extra strength typically comes with needing extra food." "Well, yeah, but I'm pretty used to running at a deficit." "That's not a great thing." Red Hood makes him take the burrito, then gets up to throw away their trash before Peter can protest. I said I wasn't a rich kid. Food is expensive. Peter feels guilty as he finishes his 4th burrito. But anyway, I got dumped here in Gotham after some kind of... Well, it's hard to explain. I made a bunch of mistakes, and in the end, the only way to fix everything and to keep my friends safe was to come here. What can you do? Red Hood asks, as he comes back over to the bench and picks up his helmet. Peter considers what to tell him. He's been thankful for Red Hood's company so far, and he does seem nice. Peter's spider sense seems to want to trust the man, but he's technically a villain of sorts. Peter's had enough betrayal for one lifetime, thank you very much. I'm strong, he settles on, and I have enhanced senses. The headphones? Red Hood asks. They dampen my hearing. I can still hear better than most humans with them on, but I sometimes get sensory overload. Things are too bright or too loud. That's what you keep tilting your head like you're trying to hear something? Oh, it's probably when Karen is talking to him, actually. Yeah, probably. So, how much do we need to feed you to keep you from keeling over? Do you want the exact caloric intake needed, or a more rough estimation? Do you know the exact caloric intake? Yeah, of course. Tony, he used to be my mentor. We used his lab to figure it out. You had a mentor? Yeah, well, I was his intern. He had a great lab, though, and we were able to study all the changes. Changes, so you weren't born like this. Are you interrogating me? Peter asks, looking to study the other man. A little bit, he admits. Peter sticks his tongue out at him. He's got to remember to watch his mouth. He can't just blab everything. Well, I'm not going to turn into a villain or anything. I have lots of brains for a zombie. You are really not from Gotham. What makes you say that? Most of our rogues have doctorates. Oh, well, I mean, I haven't graduated high school technically, so I'm in the clear? Sure, kid. Great, glad we agree. Still, not a kid. Do you need more food? Probably, but like I said, I can get that on my own. You don't have to. Give me your phone. Red Hood holds out his hand. Peter hesitates, then pulls his Stark phone out of his pocket. Since Karen is connected to the network now, it will work. Though without a Tony in this universe, there are no Stark Industries, so his phone will stand out. What the hell is this? Red Hood asks as he takes the phone from Peter. My phone, obviously. He jumps up to take it back, but Red Hood manages to dodge him. What's Stark? My mentor. He made it for me. Peter jumps forward trying to snatch it, but Red Hood easily keeps it away. What can it do? Normal phone stuff. Peter looks around and then hops up onto the bench, using it as leverage as he jumps over Red Hood, reaching for it. Hood ducks down. Of course I get saddled with another flippy bastard, he grumbles. Can it encrypt a call? Peter hops up and lands on Hood's shoulders, trying to reach for the phone. Hood reaches up and grabs Peter by the hoodie to pull him down and dangle him in the air. Peter kicks his feet and grumbles, but he doesn't put up a real fight. You done? Red Hood asks. Yes, fine, Peter whines. Red Hood drops him back onto the ground and drops a hand on the top of his head to hold him still. Oh, don't touch my hair, it's gross. Peter tries to get away, but Jason keeps his grip on his head. I've got a place we can fix that if you could shut up for 5 seconds. Oh, really? Peter stands still. As much as he's trying his best not to trust the Red Hood, he really does want a shower and some more food. He's pretty sure that Red Hood is rolling his eyes at him as he types a number into the phone. There's a slight sound of static from Peter's earbuds as the call connects through them as well. Peter really wishes there was a way for him to thank Karen for her smart thinking. You have reached the Wayne residence, a man with a British accent answers. Hey Cotton Balls, that's the end of Chapter 3. Have a good day and thank you for listening. See you again in Chapter 4.